Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the Book that he's read this week. So what's the old guy read this week? Well, the book I've read this week is called Bleeding Heart Yard by author Elly Griffiths. The book was released as a hardback in the UK on the 29th of September 2022 and it's just come out in paperback 13th of April 2023, so relatively recent. Elly Griffiths is probably best known for Dr. Ruth Galloway mysteries. This, however, is a third outing for D.I. Harbinder Kaur. I hope I've pronounced that last name right, spelled K-A-U-R. Apologies if I haven't. Let's call her Harbinder, be easier to go along with. So Harbinder's moved up from Shoreham, where she lived with her parents. She's moved to a flat in West London, where she shares the flat with flatmates, Meta, who's a Danish architect, and Jean, a Scottish teacher, just getting used to living in the great metropolis, and as yet hasn't had a case to get stuck into. That soon changes. She gets called to go out to a school called Manor Park School, who are holding a school reunion, and it turns out there's been a suspicious death during the reunion. The suspicious death is complicated even more by the fact that the person who's died is a chap called Garfield Rice, who's a Member of Parliament, an MP. Things are even further complicated by the fact that one of the attendees is one of D.I. Kaur's team. She's called Cassie Fitzherbert. She's a detective sergeant. And it turns out she was a former pupil of Manor Park and was a friend of the person that's died. We then focus on Cassie, and it turns out that Cassie was part of a group of people, of kids doing their A-levels who call themselves the group, and who are friends and met at Gary, the dead person's house, the attic of his house, which they called the Crow's Nest. The group all went on in the following years, following school, to do well for themselves. Cassie joined the police force. Anna, one of the group, went on to become a teacher of English language in Italy. Izzy became an actress. Chris joined, was always very musical and is part of a popular pop group. Sonoma, one of the members of the group, went on to be the head and is the current head of Manor Park School. And Gary and Henry both went into politics. One a Labour MP, one a Conservative MP, so left and right. Gary going to the right after initially being to the left. Hey, happens to a lot of people. So that's the group. Unfortunately, during the 20 years ago when they were doing their A-levels, they were responsible for the death of another student. It was described as that the student fell off a platform of an abandoned tube station called Imperial, but the group had lured him there and felt responsible. So it's a secret that Cassie has held for 20 years, and now with the death of Gary Garfield, she's worried that secret may emerge, and in fact she's worried that maybe one of the famous group, is responsible for Gary's death, but she's not sure. So the the problem for Harbinder is that she gets vibes of this death of this schoolboy 20 years ago, and the fact that some of the attendees were friends of his, and she's trying to work out, is Garfield Gary's death as a result of the fact that he's a politician. He's been known to hold meetings at the title of the book, Bleeding Heart Yard, which is an actual place in Holborn, where he's discussed climate change, and Gary was a climate change denier, but it appears that a lot of people that attended the meetings he was holding in a restaurant in Bleeding Heart Yard were of a different opinion. So is this a politically motivated murder? Initially, his death was made to look like a drug overdose, but it wasn't. It was a murder. Or is this related to events of 20 years ago and the group and their activities? So things get even more complicated when there's a second death of one of the group. So very good read. Really enjoyed it. Certainly the pieces with Harbinder is getting used to London, getting used to her new team, and she's very perceptive. She picks up on things that are happening within her team and within the suspects, the persons of interest. Very good read. Moves quite well. You don't know who the perpetrator or the murders is until right towards the end of the book. So it's a good read. I'd certainly give it 7 out of 10. I guess, if I was being picky, I'd say that maybe we've possibly heard this story before of a group of friends at school do something a little bit naughty and it comes back later to haunt them. But as I said, that's being picky. I enjoyed it. It was a good read, read it in 2 sittings. Look forward to the next Harbinder mystery. So that's it for today. As I said, I'd give it 7 out of 10. 10/10 till we do it again. Thanks for watching. Bye.